CTV's W5.
My parents were murdered in their room.
A vacation catastrophe in a Mexican paradise.
They will try to keep it as quiet as possible.
A seemingly bizarre investigation that went nowhere fast.
Call the police. What the hell is wrong with you?
And a grieving family.
My body went into shock.
All on their own.
They told us that we would all go to jail.
In a mind-boggling experience in Mexico.
I remember saying, well, why are people walking through here? People shouldn't be allowed to come here.
Are you convinced that Canadians are responsible?
Now,
did you kill the Ianeros?
Absolutely not.
More than a year after the grisly murders.
My parents were a big part of our lives.
Alan Fryer.
Mexico, by far, was the most dangerous.
With new revelations in a still unsolved case.
2 Canadians have been brutally murdered, and he had more important things to do on that day.
Pretty much, yes.
Exclusive access into the Mexican investigation.
Lies, lies, and lies.
A former cop afraid for his life.
This guy was going to come back and kill you.
Yes.
And for the first time, the children of 2 murdered Canadian tourists.
It was a nightmare.
This is CTV's W5. Here is Lloyd Robertson.
Welcome to W5. It was a brutal murder that grabbed headlines around the world. Just over a year ago, Dominic and Nancy Ianiero were found in their Mexican hotel room, their throats cut. Since that awful night, what really happened seems to have been lost amid a swirl of wild allegations and rumors, most generated by Mexican authorities. So what is fact and what is fiction? With exclusive access to Mexican police documents and to the Ianiero family, W5 now can answer some of those questions. Here is Alan Fryer with the results of a 6-month-long investigation that sheds new light on just who may be responsible for the murders in Mexico.
Mexico's Mayan Riviera, a little slice of paradise for hundreds of thousands of Canadians, and the backdrop chosen by the Ianiero family for their dream wedding. The bride's sister, Nancy.
We thought it would be really good for all the family to spend time together and be with them when they got married.
Yeah, it's a beautiful setting, too, getting married on the beach.
They're known for that. That's why they chose that place.
That place was the Barcelo Mayan Beach Resort. On any given day, 3 or 4 couples can be seen exchanging vows by the sea. The parents of the bride, Dominic and Nancy Ianiero, were traditional folks. A little music, a few friends, a bottle of wine. Their idea of a good time. They would have preferred a wedding closer to home. Still, they seem to be enjoying their first ever trip to Mexico.
What kind of a mood were your folks in down there?
They were excited. They were very happy. I mean, it was new to them, but they were really excited about it.
But on their first night, Annunziata and Dominic got lost on their way back to their room, and Dominic's foot was bothering him, a touch of gout. So they flagged down a hotel golf cart. The driver took them back to their room and even offered to massage Dominic's sore foot. It wasn't the last time they saw him that night. Surprisingly, according to the Ianieros, he returned to the couple's room at 2:30 in the morning.
And when my mom opened the door, he said, tell your husband not to forget to rub cream on his foot. And my mom said to me that was kind of strange that he would come back an hour later, but I guess he was just being a nice guy.
Over breakfast, Dominic told the family all about the mysterious Good Samaritan. He looked for him during the day, but he was nowhere to be found. That evening, the family had dinner together, caught a show at one of the hotel theaters, then went their separate ways. The following morning, their dream vacation turned into a nightmare. Nancy knew something was very wrong when she saw the crowd outside her parents' room.
And I was saying, what's going on? What's going on? Why are you hugging me? What's going on? And They said something happened, and they told me something happened to your parents.
Dominic and Annunziata Ianiero had been found brutally murdered. Their throats slit from ear to ear. She laying by the door, he in the bathroom.
And from then, I feel like everything was a dream. I feel like everything was so fuzzy, so many things happening, and it was a nightmare.
The scene was surreal. Guests, hotel employees tracking blood up and down the hallway, maids mopping up after them.
Everybody was walking through saying, "What's going on? What's going on?" Nobody knew. And I remember saying, "Why are people walking through here? People shouldn't be allowed to come here," but they all did.
And just down the hall, Kimberly Kim and Cheryl Everall were getting ready for their flight back to Thunder Bay, Ontario.
And we ran out of the room into the hallway, and there was all kinds of people muddling about. There was a girl standing, holding on to a man, and her arms were around his neck, and she was crying hysterically, and she's saying, "This can't be happening."
Not certain what was going on and not wanting to intrude, Kimberly and Cheryl, that's them on home video, checked out and waited in the lobby for the airport bus.
One of the people from the Ianieros group was in the lobby flipping out, saying, "Call the police, what the hell is wrong with you?"
The two women left around 10 a.m., 2 hours after the Ianieros' bodies were discovered, and still, they said, no sign of the police. Back in Toronto, meanwhile, Anthony Ianiero was getting ready to join the rest of the family in Mexico when he received a phone call from his brother-in-law. It took a while to process the horrifying news.
There was an accident and my parents are gone. And I didn't really know how to interpret that. What do you mean they're gone? Where did they go? What happened? And you don't expect to ever hear something like that. My body immediately went into shock.
Within hours, Anthony was at the resort. He immediately asked to talk with the lead investigator.
The investigator had told me that my parents were murdered in their room.
But he told you that they had both had their throats slit.
Yes.
But who had done this? The family told police one person came to mind, a security guard by the name of Blas Delgado, who disappeared right after the murder. The family suspected that Delgado and the man who helped out their parents the night before were one and the same.
It was the first thing I said, and they looked at me like I was crazy. It's like they didn't believe me when I was telling them. They just wanted to talk more about the relationship that we had with the bridal party and if my parents had any enemies. They were more interested in asking questions like that.
This is a shot of the hallway that we have been spending the majority of our time in.
This video, shot by Nancy Ianiero, documents the family's ordeal while they were held under virtual house arrest right outside the room where their parents were killed.
This is the room that the murders occurred in, 4134, and this is how the crime scene has been blocked.
A personal video diary that records the family's horror as the crime scene is repeatedly contaminated by curious guests.
Passing through our area, unstopped, many of them stop and gawk.
For a full week, members of the family were interrogated repeatedly by the police, who questioned them about seemingly irrelevant details. Was the Ianieros' home made of brick? Did it have a kitchen?
They told us that we couldn't leave, that we had to cooperate with them, and if we didn't, then they would take our passports. And they actually told us that we would all go to jail.
And by cooperate, they meant?
They meant we had to stay there, and whenever they wanted to see us, we had to go into a room to go talk to them.
As the week wore on, their faith in the Mexican police wore down. This cell phone video, shot by a member of the Ianiero family, shows maids washing down the hallways and inside the Ianieros' room. just 2 days after the murder and well before most of the forensic testing had been done. The damage to the investigation would prove devastating. The police, meanwhile, continued to press the family.
Such as 3 a.m. Knockings on the door with the federal police coming to do hair samples and blood tests and luminol tests.
3 a.m., 3 in the morning?
Yes. Without any warning, just coming at that time. And again, you know, my sisters had very small children there sleeping in the rooms.
A week after the murders, the family was finally allowed to return to Canada and bury their parents.
When this had first happened, my body went into shock, which, believe it or not, you handle things a lot better. There's no more adrenaline. There's nothing that's making this easier for me. It's more difficult now at this point, a year later, than it was originally.
It's a void that we will always feel for the rest of our lives. That'll never go away. Because my parents were a big part of our lives.
When we return,
it's really scary.
An unsettling blame game.
The problem is with Canadians.
Meet the Mexican Attorney General who claims these women are the killers.
The man's nuts.
And how has Canada come to their aid?
You have no rights when you go down there.
When CTV's W5 continues.
It's been a year since Anthony Ianiero's parents were brutally murdered in Mexico. Only now is he getting around to the grim task of packing up his parents' house. His focus, some might call it his obsession, has been trying to get answers about the murder of his parents.
What's driving you?
Just the memory of my parents. I feel that if something happened to one of us children, that my father wouldn't stop until he found out what happened to one of his kids.
At first, Anthony was hopeful. After all, at the highest levels, the Mexicans were promising an open and honest investigation, a promise repeated during a trip to Ottawa by Luis Ernesto Derbez, Mexico's Secretary of Foreign Affairs.
There will be a clear and thorough investigation of this case, that the Canadian police will have open doors to participate.
But those promises soon began to ring hollow. Almost from the beginning, the man in charge of the investigation has seemed intent on pinning the murders on Canadians. In an interview with W5, Belo Rodriguez y Carrillo, the Attorney General of Quintana Roo State, says that 1 year later he still stands by that theory.
Are you convinced that Canadians are responsible for the death of the Ianieros?
Por supuesto que sí.
Of course they were.
Rodriguez has maintained that these two single moms from Thunder Bay, the ones who checked out of the Barcelo the morning the Ianieros' bodies were discovered, are most likely the killers. He suggests Kimberly Kim and Cheryl Everall are professional assassins.
Do you consider those two women still to be suspects?
Son las principales.
For us, they remain principal suspects.
Did you kill the Ianieros?
Absolutely not. Kim and I have dedicated our lives to helping people. I went to university for 10 years to be a doctor, to fix people, not hurt them. Kim was working in palliative care, taking care of the dying. Absolutely not.
But Rodriguez insists the evidence supports his suspicions about the two women.
Could I ask the Attorney General if he would be good enough to share with us his reasons why he still considers those women to be suspects?
Porque fue la única habitación.
It was the only room, the one where they were staying, where we found traces of blood from feet, fingers impregnated in the TV control, in the entrance door, inside in the bathroom and other places.
En el baño y en otros lugares.
But W5 has learned that none of that is true. In fact, just about everything the Attorney General has said publicly about the case is contradicted by what's in the official police report, to which W5 has obtained exclusive access. This police diagram shows no blood trail leading to the women's room, and why would it? Remember, maids were washing down the hallway even before the police got there. Also untrue is Rodriguez's claim that the Ianero's blood was found all over the women's room. In fact, there's no mention in the police report of any blood being found there, let alone tested. As for motive, Rodriguez says the killings were ordered by the mob because of Anthony Ianero's gambling debts.
Are you a gambler?
I would go just as much as any other person would go once in a while. Some few card games with friends during Christmas, New Year's, or whatnot, but no.
Specifically, what was mentioned was a $300,000 illegal gambling debt.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have such a debt?
No, there is no such debt, was never, and never will be.
W5 has learned that when those allegations first surfaced, several police forces here in Canada took them seriously enough to begin investigating Anthony Ianiero on the QT. And they've admitted to W5 they came up empty. No mob connections, no gambling debts. Still, in Mexico, Rodriguez continues to point the finger at what he says is an uncooperative Anthony Ianiero.
Por supuesto que sí, volvemos a lo mismo.
He will continue to be a suspect because he has not done absolutely anything to clear up this matter. And only through his lawyer, they have dedicated themselves to make statements that have not helped all the work done by the Attorney General's Office of Quintana Roo.
Rodriguez says he wants fingerprints and DNA from Anthony, even though Anthony wasn't in Mexico when his parents were murdered. And in any case, the official police report says there were no usable prints found at the crime scene. And the fact is that Anthony, along with all the other Ianeros, has already given a DNA sample when he was in Mexico, none of which seems to matter much to Mr. Rodriguez.
Le digo lo mismo.
Go to the authorities of his country and submit himself to the 3 tests that we have requested.
Frustrated by bizarre accusations from Mexico, Anthony decided he needed someone on his side. He hired big-time lawyer Eddie Greenspan.
In the case of the Ianeros, the prosecutors...
Greenspan went on the offensive, challenging the Attorney General, and in an interview with W5 made no secret of his opinion of Rodriguez.
We met with him when he was in Canada. He was an arrogant, pompous man. The man lies, lies, and lies.
When Greenspan finally got his hands on the Mexican police report over the objections of Rodriguez, he says it contradicted just about everything the Attorney General had been saying.
Even if we showed him all of this, he would continue to maintain his lies. That's what a liar does. And we can now see from the file just how many lies they have made, just how many falsehoods have been stated, just how many diversionary statements have been made. As far as I can tell from the file and from what the Attorney General of Quintana Roo has said from time to time, he's a pathological liar.
Truth is, the Mexican police never identified the Thunder Bay women or Anthony Ianiero as suspects. In fact, the only suspect identified in the police report is the missing security guard, Blas Delgado. And this unrecognizable photo is the only one on record.
Do you consider him to be a suspect?
Podría ser, pero las
He
mismas
could be, but even the Canadian authorities have discarded that he would have directly participated after they did the DNA test with a sample of hair that we found on Mrs. Ianero's hands when she died, and the sample of hair that Blas Delgado's mother gave voluntarily to the Attorney General's office of Quintana Roo.
La mamá de Blas Delgado.
Again, that's simply not true. He's talking about a hair found in Mrs. Ianiero's hand that Rodriguez claims belonged to the killer. But according to his own experts, no DNA could be extracted from that hair, and therefore no comparison could be made.
He said he was cleared and that Rodriguez y Correa was relieved. He was relieved that it had nothing to do with Mexico, once again that it was Canadians.
Rodriguez also says Delgado didn't have the expertise to kill with a knife.
There were reports that Mr. Delgado had a military background.
We have the official information of the Mexican Army and also from all the police in the whole country, and they told us that Mr. Delgado never belonged to them.
But W5 discovered that inside the police report was this, a copy of Delgado's resume, which lists extensive military training, including a stint with Mexican Special Forces. And there's more damning evidence against Delgado. He had called in sick the day of the murders, and yet...
Now, these here are statements from 3 hotel employees who swear that they saw the security guard, Blas Delgado, on the grounds that night, dressed in black and acting suspiciously.
You cannot be on the grounds if you're off sick or if you're off that day. And when the security guard, who was his roommate, came up to him, he ran away from him. Blas Delgado ran away from him. And he's not a suspect?
There's something else in the police report that suggests the actual motive for the killings might have been robbery. Crime scene photos indicate the couple's room, including all their luggage, had been rifled through, although to this day, it's unclear whether anything was taken. And according to electronic hotel records, someone opened the safe in the Ianieros' room at 8:55 p.m. on the night they were killed.
We were having dinner, and after the dinner, we went to go watch the show at the theater. So that's probably where we were at that time.
And your parents were with you
yes.
that whole time?
Yeah.
The Ianieros' safe opened while they were out. Delgado spotted on the hotel grounds the night of the murder, dressed in black and acting suspiciously, and gone, disappeared the very next day. Still, Rodriguez says Delgado is not a suspect, and Mexican police have never even looked for him.
When we return, W5 catches the president of a major hotel chain changing the facts.
Is it not surprising, though, that with all those cameras in place that they wouldn't have picked up something?
What's motivating staff to look the other way? And what should guests keep an eye out for?
They can point the finger at you for anything.
When CTV's W5 continues.
Welcome back to W5. At times, it seemed almost surreal. Every piece of evidence in the Ianiero investigation appeared to point in one direction, and yet Mexican authorities kept heading in another. For the accused Canadians, both the Ianieros and the women from Thunder Bay, the whole ordeal was perplexing and at times humiliating. But from a Mexican point of view, it all made bizarre sense, especially when you realize who pays the bills on the Mayan Riviera.
So why would Mexican authorities ignore evidence, ignore a local suspect, and continue to accuse Canadians of being behind the murders of Dominic and Annunciata Ianiero? Here is one possible explanation. The Mayan Riviera is the linchpin of Mexico's tourism industry, which is worth a staggering $12 billion a year. So don't underestimate the importance of huge hotel chains. One of them, the Barcelo, operates more than 80 resorts worldwide. The man who runs the Barcelo hotels in Mexico is Jorge Lieberman. He wouldn't say much on camera about the murders, but he did offer W5 an exclusive tour of the resort where the Ianieros were killed.
We are running 90%. Canadians,
90%.
depends the time of the year. By this time, we can talk about 45% Canadians.
Nearly 2,000 rooms, each bringing in a couple of $1,000s a week. It adds up to big profits for the hotel and huge tax revenues for the state. And Lieberman was anxious to show us just how safe the place is.
This area is covered 24 hours a day, and they are monitoring constantly whatever happens in all the areas of the hotel.
Proudly pointing to the more than 100 security cameras that cover the resort.
Is it not surprising, though, that with all those cameras in place, that they wouldn't have picked up something?
Well, at that time, probably we didn't have so many cameras. That was over a year ago.
And just think how much the Barcelo, not to mention other Mexican resorts, stood to lose if it turned out that the Ianeros were murdered by a hotel security guard. There's no question in the minds of the two Thunder Bay women that everything that happened on that day was about protecting tourism. Once again, Cheryl Everall.
Right from the beginning of this case, you know, from the way that the crime scene was handled to the maids getting called out of cleaning our room to go and clean, you know, the Ianero's room, you know, to protect guests, not to frighten them, not to make them want to leave the resort or not return with this bloody crime scene, to protecting themselves afterwards, telling other tourists, don't worry about it, you know, this place is safe.
Off camera, Lieberman told W5 he's convinced the Thunder Bay women are the killers, along with a mysterious third person he says was staying with them. Lieberman says he knows there was a third person in the room because Kimberly and Cheryl were constantly ordering room service for 3. We asked Kimberly and Cheryl about that. They denied anyone else was with them and produced their hotel bill, showing they never even ordered room service. Lieberman also misled us about something else. When we asked him for a picture of Blas Delgado, his missing security guard, he said hotel staff aren't issued photo IDs. But look at the police report. Every hotel employee interviewed by Mexican police after the murder had to show a copy of their employee ID cards, complete with photographs. More misinformation.
They want the message that Mexico is safe. The problem is with Canadians. Canadians come down and kill other Canadians, so come to Mexico and spend your Canadian tourist dollars.
But it's not just the power of tourism that's at play here. Mexico has one of the most questionable justice systems in the Western Hemisphere. The police are badly trained and underpaid, making only about $500 a month. These local officers in Cancun hit the streets after only a couple of weeks of training. Many are illiterate. Most of their days and nights are spent dealing with drunks and breaking up fights. Bribes are pretty much a way of life, an extra $20 here and there for looking the other way. Eduardo Rubio was the exception. He was a cop in Cancun for 4 years, but is now in hiding, his life threatened. His only contact with his family through email. The reason? He unknowingly pulled over a Mexican drug lord for running a red light and found himself with a diamond-encrusted gun in his ribs.
According to somebody, they told me these are the best years of your life because you are living overtime. You should be dead already.
With the help of other officers, Eduardo managed to arrest the drug lord, who tried repeatedly to bribe his way out of custody. $25,000 to forget about the whole thing. Eduardo refused.
So, this guy was going to come back and kill you?
Yes. Yes, he was.
You have a wife and a young child.
Yes.
That must have been a pretty frightening experience.
Still a very frightening experience.
This is you, side of you.
Yes.
This is the drug lord that was arrested and his driver.
In hiding for the crime of being an honest cop. Eduardo says the higher up you go, the more corruption there is. He says 2 former colleagues of Attorney General Rodriguez are now in jail.
For covering up the killing of 12 people, including federal officials, state officers, local officers, and snitches.
Eduardo says the justice system is riddled with senior officials who routinely flaunt the law.
You think Mr. Rodriguez is no different?
He's following the same path.
That he's covering up facts about this murder.
Unless you believe that 2 girls can carry out this massacre, yes.
And Eduardo confirmed to W5 the unwritten rule that Mexican officials from top to bottom must follow. Don't trifle with tourism.
Are the bosses at the police department and the Attorney General's office sensitive to bad publicity, especially when it involves crimes against tourists?
They will try to keep it as quiet as possible.
Did you feel that pressure as a police officer?
Just keep it quiet. You didn't see anything, you didn't hear anything, and if you want to keep your job, you'll keep it quiet.
For the Ianiero lawyer, Eddie Greenspan, there's only one conclusion. In Mexico, tourism trumps justice, even if you're an attorney general.
What do you think his agenda is?
I think Rodriguez y Carrillo is really trying to be the Chamber of Commerce. He's trying to suggest you have nothing to fear by coming to Quintana Roo, nothing to fear by coming to Cancun. If there's ever a crime here, it's committed by Canadians. All crimes in Mexico are committed by Canadians.
And nearly 1 million Canadians visit Mexico every year. We wanted to get a handle on just how safe Canadians are when they go on vacation abroad. But Ottawa told us we'd have to file an access to information request, so we did, for the number of Canadians assaulted or murdered in the top 10 tourist destinations. And when we crunched the numbers, we discovered that Mexico, by far, was the most dangerous of them all. 3 times more dangerous than the Dominican Republic. Twice as dangerous as Cuba.
It's one of the highest crime rates in the world. It's a dangerous place, and Canadians should know it, and Canadians should be afraid of it.
They can point the finger at you for anything, and you are guilty till proven innocent. So it's really scary. You have no rights when you go down there.
And what happens when things go tragically wrong, as they did for the Ianieros?
They'll try to cover it up. If they cannot come with the truth, they will stick to these 2 girls. And unfortunately, who is to do anything? If Foreign Affairs from Canada don't do something about it, nobody else can.
When we return,
we are going to protect Canadians.
A minister's response.
Yes, he did speak with the Ianiero family.
A family's dismay.
He's never contacted you?
No.
And the duties of Canada's representative in Cancun.
I was wondering what might be more important than 2 murdered Canadians.
When CTV's W5 continues.
Within days of the brutal murders of Dominic and Annunciata Ianiero, the Canadian government was promising action. Foreign Affairs Minister Peter MacKay.
We've also made contact with the family to establish contact and provide consular support. It's one that we'll continue to retain contact in hopes of catching the perpetrators and providing whatever assistance we can.
This one would match more, don't you think?
But Nancy Ianiero says it was just one more empty promise. The consular support was supposed to have come from this man. Danielle Lavoie, Canada's honorary consul in Cancun, seen here in a more familiar role, attending the opening of an art exhibit.
My encounter with him was very brief, and he didn't make me feel any comfort at all. That's all I remember about him.
Technically, honorary consuls aren't full-time employees of the Canadian government, but they are Canadian and they do represent the government on the ground.
He wasn't guiding us or telling us what it is that we should be doing or should be expecting next.
Nothing at all?
No.
No advice?
No.
No information?
No.
Lavoie's resume suggests no diplomatic experience at all. Just a few years here and there in the restaurant and hotel business. And as for training, honorary consuls don't seem to get much. In fact, when another official arrived from the Canadian Embassy in Mexico City, Lavoie up and left.
He said that there was another urgent matter that he had to attend to and wouldn't be looking after my parents' case.
Even though this is his territory, 2 Canadians have been brutally murdered, and he had more important things to do on that day.
Pretty much, yes.
Mr. Lavoie, can we just have a few comments? And what exactly was more important than the murder of 2 Canadians? W5 wanted to put that question to Lavoie, but he turned down our request for an interview. Still, we did manage to catch up with him in Cancun. Could I ask you, sir, because again, the family was complaining that, you took off after the first day saying you had more important business, and I was wondering what might be more important than 2 murdered Canadians.
I don't remember saying that.
You don't remember saying that? How long were you there?
I'm not authorized to give interviews. You have to go to media relations in Ottawa.
I understand, but can you just tell me how long you were on
call
site?
the embassy.
How long were you on the site of the Barcelona?
Can you call my superiors at the embassy?
Do you remember how long you were on site?
Can you call the embassy if you want?
Certainly, we will.
Okay.
In fact, we went straight to the top. We asked for an interview with Peter McKay, who's been handling this case for the past year.
We are going to protect Canadians if they become suspects, and we don't want to speculate whether they will, but Canadian interests will be protected.
But the Prime Minister's office said no, McKay wouldn't talk. Instead, they offered a junior minister, Secretary of State for Foreign Affairs Helena Georges, who was only recently put in charge of the Ianiero case.
But I can tell you that having recently been put on this file, it is very important to me.
Georges may have the file, but it sure sounded very much like Peter McKay was still in charge.
Have you talked to the Attorney General yourself, Mr. Rodriguez, who's leading the investigation down there?
No, I have not had that opportunity to yet. I understand Minister McKay or our officials have done so. Minister McKay did request specifically, well, my understanding, having had a conversation with Minister McKay, is, well, I can't speak for Minister McKay. Again, I understand that Minister McKay did speak directly with these 2 women.
But who exactly in the government has been speaking for or with the Ianieros?
You're telling me that Minister McKay has indeed spoken directly to the Ianiero family.
This was over a year ago, March 6th, just after the crimes have been committed. Yes, he did speak with the Ianiero family at that point.
He has said that he has been in contact with our family and will be on an ongoing basis, but has never once.
They don't seem to have any recollection of that.
I'm sorry, I can't answer any further. That's what I have been told. That's what Peter had told me himself.
He's never contacted you?
No.
Never picked up the phone?
No.
And as for the state of the investigation and the misinformation coming from Attorney General Rodriguez,
I cannot comment on the investigation.
Do you regard it as fair as an impartial?
You're asking me to pass judgment on an investigation that has not been completed yet. And I am not prepared to comment on an investigation or perhaps damage due process.
And what of the trumped-up allegations against Cheryl Everall and Kimberly Kim? After all, according to the Attorney General, they remain the prime murder suspects.
We must wait. We must respect the due process. That's what we do in Canada. That is what's wonderful about our judicial system here,
But we're
and
talking
about our
their
criminal
system.
investigation system.
Again, I'm not asking you to comment per se on the investigation. I just
But that's
want to
how we
know
do
whether
things
the
in
view,
Canada.
whether the view of our government is what's going on down there is fair and impartial. Do you believe it is?
We will continue to work with the Mexican authorities. We have asked for a very transparent investigation, and we look forward to seeing a successful conclusion to that investigation.
We also asked why Ottawa didn't protest to Mexico when former President Vicente Fox spoke out publicly on the case, stating unequivocally, not long after the murders, that Canadians were responsible.
As soon as the head of state said that, isn't any semblance of a fair and impartial investigation out the window?
Well, we do have a practice in Canada where we don't comment on criminal investigations.
Do you think that was appropriate for a head of state?
We don't openly muse about investigations because we believe in supporting due process.
Due process, can't comment, won't interfere. Empty words to Anthony Ianiero, who now lives under a cloud of suspicion because of alleged and unproven mob connections. And to Kimberly Kim and Cheryl Everall, who are afraid to leave Canada again because they're identified as murder suspects.
What kind of message do you think that sends to other Canadians traveling abroad?
I think that that's setting a precedent, and the precedent is that we're not going to help you if you're out of the country.
I think it's putting Canadians out into, a minefield where step cautiously, because if you make the wrong step, you just happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, your life's going to explode.
The Attorney General says the investigation is at a standstill until he gets more information from Canadian police, who in turn say they've given him everything he's asked for. The only thing that can help now, says Anthony Ianiero, is for Ottawa to start pressing the Mexicans harder.
As far as we're concerned, they're not pressing them at all. We don't even think that this is an issue that they're bringing up with the Mexican government to get to the bottom of this.
I think most Canadians would assume that if they find themselves in hot water and some kind of trouble in a foreign country like Mexico, that their government is going to be there for them.
That assumption is completely and utterly false.
Misinformation from Mexico, seeming indifference from Ottawa.
The Canadian government's role, as far as we're concerned, is to get the Canadian bodies of the victims back home, and that's about it.
That's it.
That's all.
2 unsolved murders. The botched investigation means we may never learn who did it or why. Still, Anthony says he'll keep looking for justice for his parents. That's his promise to them.
It's not an option for me to stop at this point. We've come too far, and we were too close of a family. We're young. My parents were young. It's too much to put behind us. I can't let this go.
We'll be right back. And that's W5 for this week. Remember, you can also find us on the internet at w5.ctv.ca. There you can learn more about our stories, even watch them again. On behalf of all of us at W5, I'm Lloyd Robertson. Thank you for watching.